Alright, guys. This is like probably a few and far in between, like, positive type of arc going on. Um, Please message me if you feel like there's something I should make in another video that is, obviously positive, to a greater extent along the lines of this, or not just one specific culture war that they're forcing us to deal with. There's all sorts of issues that we're fighting back to gain, or to gain new ones, or ones that were taken away from us. Anyways, Massachusetts joins a small but growing number of states adopting universal free school meals. Spending for the program was included in an overdue $55.95 billion state budget signed into law by Governor Maura Healey on Wednesday. Massachusetts Maura Healey, governor, signs the overdue state budget for 2024 fiscal year Wednesday, August 2023, that begins July 1st. The budget makes Massachusetts the latest among the small but growing number of states that has adopted free universal school meals program. So obviously, when I was making that Shut Up and Starve video, I probably didn't do enough research. So this is, I don't know, damage control, I guess. It is worth pointing out, like a massive blind spot. Anyways, Massachusetts has joined a smaller number of states. Yes, read that already. The budget includes spending on schools, child care, workforce development, public transit, housing, climate resilience, and definitely climate resilience. That's going to impact housing if you're really serious about helping housing, and not just fucking like, here's a dumpster that's been refurbished. Yeah, and other key areas that will help make more Massachusetts affordable, competitive, and equitable, said Healey, signing her first budget as governor. The budget will also make community college free for students aged 25 and older. Oh, that's surprising, actually. Expand grants for early education and care providers. Increase funding for apprenticeships and other workforce development programs. And dedicate 1% of the budget to energy and the environment for the first time. Okay, yeah, you're doing all this nice stuff while the earth is on fire, I guess. Sure, awesome. I'm not, okay, nope, positive. You're helping the children here. Alright. About $172 million in permanent funding is also included in the budget to provide universal school meals for public school students in kindergarten through high school. Excellent. Healey called the school lunch program, quote, an investment in childhood nutrition that's also removing a source of stress from our schools and our homes, end quote. The meals programs will save families about $1,200 per student per year, Senate President Karen Spilka said. Whoops. I didn't mean to wear this shirt. Okay. House Speaker Ronald Marion, a fellow Democrat, said that as a former school teacher, he saw firsthand the importance of ensuring that children have access to food during the school day. Quote, the school lunch program is something I'm extremely proud of, end quote, said Mariano, who taught school for 12 years and served as a local school committee. Oh shit, what's going on with this? And goes on to say, I know the stresses of being in the classroom and seeing kids come in from the projects hungry, falling asleep at their desks because they haven't eaten since lunch the day before, end quote. Oh, this is really being specific about what type of people are starving. Well, I mean, it's good that it's being honest, I guess. But, I mean, I'm actually shocked this isn't just talking about children in, like, a generalized sense. Some articles will just, they'll be, like, colorblind to it in some way. Anyways, Mariano said he sees the program as a part of the larger effort to target childhood hunger. As of July, at least 7 states, California, Colorado, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, New Mexico, and Vermont, have established optional or mandatory universal school meal programs for students participating in national school lunch and school breakfast programs, according to the National Conference of State Legislators. 6 states mandate district participation and pay for the programs through general revenues or educational funds. You know, back in my day, my mom could barely afford anything. Well, she was making too much for me, supposedly, to have free school lunch back in my day. And you know, the lunch lady, they would always give me food, even though I didn't have money. I said I would pay them back, but I owed, like, tons of money, I'm pretty sure. Like, it's just insane. But, I mean, they weren't gonna let kids go hungry, I guess. So it's just, like, it's possible this lunch lady doing that for kids is, like, getting fired. Alright. Anyways. Colorado doesn't mandate district participation in funds universal meals through a voter pass tax measure that reduces income to tax deduction in households earning $300,000 and more. Some states began asking for ways to create universal meals programs after a federal pandemic era program that provided free meals for all public schools students ended last year. Alright. Ensuring that all students have access to lunches help breaks down the stigma of receiving free meals, said activists who have pushed for the change. Okay, well, if everybody's getting free lunch, who the fuck is gonna complain? Sorry, my language, but seriously. Okay. Like, you would have to be a psychopath to, or, like, uncaring, like, you're making this a wedge issue purposefully, like, to pretend you care about it. That's the type of person who would probably fucking disagree with it, like, oh my god. End quote, quote, universality means every kid has the food they need, no questions asked, said Aaron McAleer, president of the nonprofit Project Bread, who helped lead the push in Massachusetts. Quote, eliminating labels of haves and have-nots is long overdue. This milestone transforms a system that has broken for decades. End quote. For the first time, the Massachusetts budget also incorporates an estimated $1 billion in projected new revenue generated for the voter-approved millionaire tax, amended to the state constitution. What? The budget splits the new revenue between education and transportation initiatives. Healy said she also issued more than $200 million in vetoes to the budget delivered to her desk by state lawmakers. Fellow Democrats, who hold overwhelming majorities in both the Massachusetts House and Senate, will have the chance to override the vetoes if they want. Oh. Okay. Overall, this is still good and epic. Again, I'm sorry I didn't do more research before. Alright. So I said I would talk about Erin Reed multiple times throughout this year, and I never got to it. She's probably said more stuff than this, more dire and probably negative, but this is positive arc, so yeah. Alright. Transgender activists have scored a major victory in Wyoming, the first healthcare ban for trans youth in the red state with Republican trifecta has fallen. Let's look at how they did it. Subscribe to support member. Yeah. Okay. I shall see. Hopefully this doesn't lag. External redirection. Okay. Oh. I almost clicked it. I hope this is, okay. This year, it has felt like anti-trans legislation has moved unimpeded. Okay, so yeah, I didn't talk about this. Initially, my articles were at the benchmark where it was like 400 anti-trans bills, and now I believe it's 600, right? Okay. In Wyoming, though, activists successfully pushed back and became the first red state to defeat a trans healthcare ban. This must be like red state people wanting certain rights that we think that they wouldn't want because it's a culture war divide. Anyways, that's a good thing to realize. This year, it has seemed like healthcare bans for transgender use has moved unimpeded through state houses. Already 4 states have banned gender-affirming care in 2023 for transgender people under 18 years old. Utah, South Dakota, Mississippi, and Florida. Several more states have seen bills fly through committees and legislative chambers, leaving activists to wonder if anti-trans healthcare bans could be defeated in any state with a Republican trifecta. That question was answered by activists in Wyoming, who scored a huge victory and made Wyoming the first state controlled by Republicans to block anti-trans healthcare ban. That's actually pretty amazing. It's more impressive in the scope of things, in my opinion, than free school lunch. But I don't know. Think of the children as always like a thing that's used to manipulate politics. So maybe that's more of a devastating manipulation strategy. Anyways, Wyoming SF 144 was a bill that would have banned gender-affirming care for transgender youth in the state. It would have prevented insurance policies from covering gender-affirming care for trans youth and would have stripped the licenses of any doctor offering such care. The bill would have threatened mental and physical essential health care as spelled out by 29 different medical organizations that support gender-affirming care. Like several other bills moving in multiple states, it would have immensely harmed transgender youth. Unlike other states, though, Republicans balked at the far-reaching nature of the bill and sharply questioned the sponsor. When presenting his bill, Senator Anthony Butchard could not get past the second page before Republicans on the committee noted extreme problems with the bill. Representative Lloyd Larson pointed out that the bill could threaten mental health care and counseling for trans youth, and Senator Butchard indicated that he would be fine with that. Representative Clark Stith indicated that the bill could put federally regulated insurance plans on the health insurance marketplace at risk, threatening all of Wyoming providers and raising premiums. The state insurance commissioner acted as an informational witness and raised the same concerns. The entire committee, made up mostly of Republicans, seemed to express dissatisfaction with the inclusion of hormone therapy and puberty blockers in the bill. All of these issues were backed by evidence. Gender-affirming care saves lives. In a recent Journal of American I should know this. I'm sorry. Pediatric study. Transgender youth on gender-affirming care had a 73% lower risk of suicidality. In another study in the American Journal of Adolescent Health, the reduction in suicide attempts was 40%. These studies have huge sample sizes and were published in a more prestigious journals. They presented only a portion of a large body of medical evidence confirming gender-affirming care efficacy for transgender youth. When combined with the Insurance Commission's testimony that banning the care from insurance marketplaces would threaten marketplace access for everyone. Well, yeah, even if you wanted to make the argument that medical malpractice happens, you can't just take it all away because you're worried it might happen again. Anyways, the Republicans seemed very uneasy with the bill. Then, when testimony began, people against the bill showed up strongly. Karen Chin developed 600 56 postcards to the Committee for Transgender Youth, Families, and Allies. These postcards were initially collected by local organizer Cheyenne Syverson. Chin outpaced a snowstorm to deliver the letters. Her testimony was one of several powerful testimonies against the bill in the hearing. Following Chin's testimony, representatives for the ACLU, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Wyoming Equality spoke on the many constitutional, legal, and ethical issues with the bill, confirming all of the critiques made by the Republican representatives on the committee. You can watch Chin's testimony here following other speakers from major rights organizations. So I would play this video, but I don't want to take up time waiting for it to load, especially if it doesn't work. Okay, I'm just gonna test it. Honestly, I'll see if this works. Okay. Honestly, I should have trusted my gut and not pressed hit.
Go ahead, please.
Alright, thank you. There's no way I could just watch that. Freezing every second. Okay. Ultimately, Republicans on the committee were unswayed by arguments that gender-affirming care should be banned within the state. The committee voted overwhelmingly against the bill 5-2, declaring that the bill should not pass. Quote, do not pass, end quote. Votes effectively kill bills in committees, preventing them from moving forward to the House of Representatives. Wyoming became the first state with a Republican trifecta in 2023 to kill a transgender youth medical ban. To call this a victory would be an understatement. Transgender youth have watched bills pass through legislature around the United States, and until today, activists were left wondering if any state with the Republican trifecta would turn down a cruel healthcare ban. Other states that currently have active fights around these bills: Nebraska, Idaho, Tennessee, Missouri, Oklahoma, and over a dozen others. All can look at what activists did in Wyoming and can gain a little bit of hope that legislators in their own states are reachable. I mean, it's possible that, like, if legislators and policymakers' children are put in the crossfire because their kids are, like, trans or whatever, gay, and this is also coming after gay people in Obergefell, but yeah, then they'll just start crying in front of the camera about, oh, my children, don't do this, you know. They should already be empathetic. I don't see why they need, like, I don't see why they necessarily need somebody being taken away or destroyed in their life to care. I don't think that's necessary, but if that's what it takes and that's the individual case, sure. But this shouldn't be like a, oh, you'll only know once it happens to you. That's nonsense. Okay. Here's a map of states currently considering care bans that have chance of passing or that have already passed. States with Republican trifectas or supermajorities with a gender-affirming care ban introduced. Care ban introduced, care ban paused. Oh, excellent. I mean, not excellent, but thanks for the data is what I mean. Okay, the battle for transgender rights is hinging primarily on gender-affirming care bans proposed in these states. Though resistance among transgender activists and allies have been fierce, Republicans in many cases show a lack of willingness to follow scientific testimony and emotional pleas from families, unless it's their family. Moving forward, however, activists can hold hope that these bills can be stopped even in states that seem openly hostile to the rights and dignity of trans citizens. With over 350 bills targeting the community, holding strongly onto that hope will be important to maintain morale for the battles to come. Okay, I thought it was 600, but this must be talking about locally. Alright, so that's good. Now, this is not as important, but it's still great. that it's happening. And there was another video that I had pulled up, but it was doing weird loading stuff and causing it to lag, so I don't know what that was about. Alright, guys. YouTube star Mr. Beast helps 1,000 blind people see again by paying for their cataract surgeries. Mr. Beast, whose name is Jimmy Donaldson, worked with ophthalmologists around the world to give sight to 1,000 people. I've never heard of this word before. I feel like I should have. What the hell is going on? Okay. YouTube star Mr. Beast is helping 1,000 people see a little more clearly. Jimmy Donaldson, known to his followers as Mr. Sorry about that. It's just so, like, foggy and smoky. That's a bit strange. Okay. It was raining, guys. Sorry, I got up and it was just raining, and then suddenly just steam everywhere. And now I'm smelling like wood burning. Yeah, that's great, right? Okay. I'm gonna assume it's nothing, because that would just be random, that there would just be a fire after it starts raining. Like, what the fuck? Alright, sorry. Hope you guys are still, like, tuning in. Okay. Where was I? Shared a video on YouTube channel on Saturday revealing near blind people to see by paying for their cataract removal surgeries. The video, which was released on Saturday, has amassed 47 million views as of Monday morning. The 24-year-old YouTube sensation worked with Jeff Levinson, an ophthalmologist and surgeon based on Jacksonville, Florida, whose Gift of Sight program offers free cataract surgeries to people who are legally blind and uninsured. He performed the first round of surgeries for Donaldson. Quote, "More than half of the blindness in the world is caused by cataracts. A 10-minute surgery at a material cost of less than $1,000 is resource-poor places, cures of forever," end quote. Levinson explained in a statement to People. Quote, "In the days and weeks after my own cataract surgery, I was stunned by how bright and beautiful and vivid the world was," end quote. Levinson said in an interview with CNN, quote, "But I was shocked by the idea that there are hundreds of millions, probably 200 million people around the world who are blind or nearly blind from cataracts and who don't have access to the surgery." Okay. When Donaldson called Levinson to chat about the project, the doctor almost didn't take the call. Quote, "When Mr. Beast first called me, he enthusiastically described wanting to do 1,000 cataract surgeries on blind people all around the world in 3 weeks," end quote, he recalls. Quote, "I'd never heard of him, and the whole thing sounded crazy. He sounded like a 12-year-old, and I almost hung up," end quote. He tells People exclusively, quote, "So glad I didn't." Okay. To find patients that needed the cataract surgeries but couldn't afford it, Levinson told CNN he and Donaldson called the homelessness shelter and free clinics in Florida. They grew the list to 40, and Levinson did the first round of procedures in one day, starting at 7 a.m. and ending at 6 p.m., according to CNN. The YouTuber didn't stop there. Donaldson's video showed people gaining their vision back in Mexico, Honduras, Indonesia, Brazil, Vietnam, Kenya, Jamaica, working with C International, a nonprofit that provides free eye care around the world to patients in need. He reached his goal of helping 1,000 people see more clearly in just under 3 weeks. In the video, patients cry as they are able to see clearly after months or even years of blurred vision. Levinson is absolutely thrilled with how the video and the undertaking turned out. Quote, having a thing you love to do shared with tens of millions of people is a unique pleasure, end quote. He tells people, adding that he heard from people around the world after the video was released. Quote, first the East Coast and then Central America, then the West, and then India and the Philippines, and Tonga and Africa, he says, and goes on to say, the idea of ending the needless blindness binds us all together, he added. It's time to see it done. Alright, so to summarize the pushback against this, because of course there is, it's a nice thing, so people have to complain about it, but it hinges on, the blind community was also, the deaf community was also helped. I was going to read an article about that, but it was making my tablet slow. So anyways, communities feel like they're being eugenicsed out of society. And if you've been paying attention to my research and such like that, obviously people are very terrified of like the eugenic system coming back and reworking them to fit the state's like get back to work strategy or whatever like aesthetic these people engineer the human populace to do. But this is out of the kindness of someone's like heart, and it's a good thing that people are seeing and hearing again. Like, it's a good thing. You should want to hear and see again. And I don't think it's eugenics at all. You know, especially when you're helping an aspect of them and helping the person alongside the aspect you're helping. Because most people would see it as a preventive measure. Like, you prevent people with these disabilities, but instead you're helping a person with the disability no longer have the disability. You know, it's not like, you know, it's honestly, like, there's a lot of quote-unquote mental disabilities that are very difficult to deal with, neurodivergency and, like, such like that. It's annoying because people will treat you differently, but, like, being, like, autistic, like, I wouldn't really consider that a disorder. Like, unless you are literally, like, you can't get dressed on your own, you can't drive a car, you can't go to work, like, obviously, like, autistic people there's, like, things that bother them, they overthink things, they're, like, hyper-focused on a thing, but that's not the same as literally having your whole experience taken away by not being able to see or not being able to hear or anything that could help you expand your world. Now, obviously, to the communities at large that are still in fear of the eugenics movement, it's very understandable. Obviously, this should be a pro-choice thing. These people chose to do this. You know, it's not like they were taken from their communities and like, hey, we're gonna experiment on you. Like, I doubt that's how it went. And people are mad at Mr. Beast, but what we should be mad at is that we allow this to happen. You know, the medical establishment just leaves people blind, deaf, and they make them dumb. People aren't necessarily dumb. We engineer these things so that it optically looks good to act on removing them. So, this is not what Mr. Beast is doing. Mr. Beast isn't removing people. Mr. Beast isn't even removing the blind or deaf community. He's simply helping people who most likely wanted help. You know, yeah, guys. I would be on the side of the blind and deaf communities here, but this is a pro-choice thing. You can't just keep people blind and deaf. Like, you know how psychotic that sounds? It would be as psychotic as giving you sight and your hearing without your consent. Like, we knock you out and drag you somewhere. Like, I don't know. Like, if somebody is born blind and deaf, like, they still know about these senses, because we don't just remove them. We um we work society, like with braille and such like that, and like obviously they're aware that they're lacking something, and they're not any less valuable, assuming that it's not like a perceived burden to society to help them, because obviously it's like we need to come together, as this article says, to help people. All right. That's about it, guys. I will see ya.